Today we're looking at the top stories of the week from r/MaliciousCompliance. Now let's get right into it. This first story is titled, "The dozen donuts I've been bringing in every Monday doesn't count as my snack day contribution?" Well, I guess I'll have to rectify that. Back in high school around 2010, I used to work the closing shift at Dunkin' Donuts on Sunday nights. Per company policy, I could box up 2 donuts to bring home with me before throwing the rest out. 1 dozen went with my dad to work in the morning. 1 came with me to school, specifically my Spanish class, which was a pretty small and pretty tight-knit group. Tends to happen when a lot of coursework is practicing conversations with each other. This practice of bringing donuts every Monday sparked an idea in one of my classmates' heads. She's Anne in this story. Since it's so nice to have donuts once a week, we should do a weekly snack day where everyone can bring something in. They decided this would be on a Thursday, and I said I'd just continue to bring in donuts every week on Monday as my contribution. Everyone was very okay with this, except for Anne. No, this snack day was Thursday, and if you aren't going to bring in a snack on Thursday, then you aren't welcome to participate. I was pretty pissed, but what can you do? It's only 1 snack, 1 time. Then I got to thinking about it. I was only required to bring a snack, not something sweet or delicious, or even palatable. As long as it was edible, then it counted. My next closing shift, I grabbed an extra empty dozen box. I went to the store on Wednesday night and got a 5-pound bag of potatoes. I washed them and put them right in the box, and dropped off the box early in the morning to my Spanish classroom so nobody would get wise to the actual contents. Apparently the earlier classes had seen the box sitting on a shelf and had told our class that we had donuts. Everyone was excited. I brought them up and put them on top of the Elmo projector, trying best not to portray the extra heft. They all scurried up excitedly, and Anne herself was the first one to open the box. A blank expression turned to raw frustration. "You were supposed to bring a snack today," she protested. "I did," I said, walking up to the box and grabbing a potato, biting into it while making direct eye contact with her. "You don't have to have any if you don't want." Everyone shuffled back to their desks, and Anne tried desperately to grasp a new argument out of thin air, but it was not coming. I finished my potato triumphantly and brought the rest home for my mom after school. The box was checked, and she could not try to exclude me from the weekly snack anymore. Everyone else in class who thought she was a bit over the top thought the antic was hilarious after they got over the initial disappointment. Edit, the story is real. If you can't fathom a teenager eating a raw potato out of spite, then I don't know what to tell you except you should get out more. I called my patient's Mistress, but I was just doing what I was told. This happened back in 2019. I was working part-time at a doctor's office while I was in nursing school. I was one of the receptionists and did all the filing and cataloging and such. It was boring work, but the doctor, my boss, guaranteed me a job after nursing school, so that's why I did it. This particular doctor was an orthopedic surgeon. We had lots of patients coming in for MRIs, CT scans, and x-rays. This one particular patient, Frank, hey, that's my name, was scheduled to have surgery in a couple of days, and he needed to come and pick up his MRIs and x-rays from our office and bring them with him to his procedure. Yes, looking back at how ass-backward things used to be is so frustrating. All these things are 100% electronic now. And even back then they were too, but my boss was old school. So anyway, I called Frank to tell him to come and pick up his images, but he didn't answer. I called him again during lunch, but still no answer. So I left him a message. The following day I called him again, but still no answer. It was imperative that Frank got his images or else he wouldn't be able to have his surgery. So I looked in his file to see if he had any other contact information. He listed his home phone number as well as his wife's cell. I called his house and left a message, and I also called his wife Amy, but she didn't answer either, so I left her a message as well. The office manager Diane told me to call whoever was listed in his emergency contacts, because if Frank didn't get his images and missed his surgery, then she would have to do a whole new stack of paperwork to reschedule him, and she didn't want to be bothered. I looked to see if there was an emergency contact, and Frank listed a woman named Helen. Relation to patient? Girlfriend. I told Diane I didn't want to call Helen when I had already left a message for Amy, as it would put me in an awkward position. Diane said that as long as the patient listed them as an emergency contact, I could call them. She also said that it's not uncommon for couples to be separated but still legally married for insurance reasons, and that this could possibly be the case for Frank and Amy, which I guess made sense. I really wanted to believe that no one would be stupid enough to put their secret lover as their emergency contact. I didn't want to get fired for being insubordinate, so I called Helen and she actually answered her phone. I was secretly hoping she wouldn't. and told her Frank's images needed to be picked up prior to his surgery. She came by during lunch, got the images, and then left. I immediately called Frank again to let him know that Helen picked up his images, and to not worry about it. But this fool wasn't answering his phone, so I left him another message. A couple hours later, Amy called back and said she wasn't able to answer before because she was teaching, but she got her message and was coming to pick up Frank's images now that school was done for the day. I told her the images had already been picked up. I tried to be as vague as possible. Here's the conversation that follows. Amy: who picked them up? I know Frank is still busy at his office and hadn't had the chance to come get them. Me, again, trying really hard to be vague. We called someone from his emergency contact list. Was it his brother Steve? At this point, I'm really nervous. No, not his brother. Well, then who? Helen? Who is Helen? I don't know anyone named Helen. I'm not sure, but since she was on Frank's emergency contact list and no one else was answering their phone, we called her and she already came and got the images. Confused, Amy hung up. The following day was Frank's surgery. The day after Frank's surgery, my boss jokingly asked me, "What the hell did you do to that guy?" He came in all pissed at me, saying that my secretary told his wife about his other girlfriend. I told my boss what happened and that Diane told me to call the girlfriend, and he understood. Diane tried to throw me under the bus by saying I didn't tell her that Helen was Frank's girlfriend, and that I told her that Helen was just a friend, and that she never would have given me the green light to call a patient's mistress. But I reminded her in front of my boss that she said it was possible for Frank and Amy to be married but separated. This bee was trying to cover her ass because she probably thought it was some kind of HIPAA violation, but nothing ever happened. I was 18 years old at the time and did just whatever my superiors told me because I was really thirsty for job security after college. But I ended up not working there and went to work at a hospital instead. This next story is titled, "You Must Actually Teach on the Last Day Before Christmas Break." The story comes from my favorite teacher in high school, Charlie. The time was the 80s. He was a chemistry teacher, mild, short man, but devious. If you tried to take a nap during his class, he would just keep talking, walk over to the ammonia bottle, wet a rag, and drop it beside your head, all while acting like nothing was going on. Charlie for quite some time would let students have fun the last day before break, until the principal told him that he had to teach the kids something. So he complied. He set up an experiment for that day. The ingredients included sucralose, glucose in solution, protein pellets, and I had to look it up, 4-hydroxy-3-methoxybenzaldehyde. I'm sorry if I hacked it up, guys. As the students happily perform their experiment, the principal sticks his head in the door to ensure that Charlie is actually having them do something productive, and is happily surprised. Charlie fills him in on the experiment in big scientific words. As the principal is about to leave, he remarks, "Why does it smell like peanut brittle in here?" And every year after that, we made peanut brittle on the last day of class for the semester. It's my day to buy donuts for the entire office as the new person? Well, okay. As the new person at my job, I was told multiple times that I was expected to provide donuts for the entire office. Normally, that's not a big deal. But 2 people in particular were rude and relentless about the donuts all week. Others joined in also. Apparently, these people recently extorted 2 boxes of Krispy Kremes from someone else. Examples of the behavior: mentioning buying donuts 20 plus times, name-calling, interrupted meetings, powered off my computer and losing my work, refusing to answer legit work questions until I buy donuts, on and on. Here's the problem. I was hired in as a senior, 30 years old, and I was not necessarily loving the idea of being told to buy donuts over and over. Hazing really did not seem appropriate at this point in my career, or for anyone else. I didn't want to be a bad sport my first week, so I played along. I politely said that I did not have the time this week, but we'll get to it eventually. In terms of the workforce, I was mature, but I was not very mature as a person overall. I needed a creative way to address this problem. On my way to work, I decided to pick up a cheap bag of small powdered Hostess donuts at the gas station. I distributed the donuts one by one, desk by desk, making sure to do so barehanded from the bag. I presented the donuts extremely politely, careful to mask my passive-aggressive F you to the whole forced donut process. The reaction from the staff was a lot of the deer in the headlight looks. People had no idea if I was a really nice but clueless person, or if I was totally saying F you to the entire donut idea. Most people took the safe choice of being pleasant in return. Some people tried to refuse, but I mentioned the big deal about buying donuts, and still left a donut on every desk. I had originally considered providing a donut to everyone except the last two idiotic pushy people. I started verbally setting it up where they would not receive a donut. However, these two idiots were still openly verbally complaining about donuts, as adults. I could tell that this was not going to go away. They could not take the hint to back off. My idea to passively aggressively snub them was no longer good enough. This had to be more direct. I decided I was 100% done with these guys, regardless of the consequences. I told them I had another idea. I grabbed a plastic knife from the break room and cut the remaining donut in half, the long, horizontal way, so it still had two circles. The yellow cake was now visible. Then the most brilliant idea of my life. A new way to hold donuts. One donut on each middle finger, with my middle finger in the center hole of each donut. I stopped at both desks. The first guy had his choice of 2 donuts on my middle fingers. That's right, I was able to give him a double donut middle finger. He now understood that I was completely done with his BS, but he never grabbed a donut. I explained the donuts are actually quite tasty, and urged him to take one, but I'm sure I looked like a complete psycho. I was no longer able to stay in character. The good news, his refusal to take a donut from my middle finger also allowed the opportunity to provide the last guy a double donut middle finger. I mildly snapped and had a shitty fake grin on my face. I looked him right in the eye, double donut middle fingers up, no longer saying a word. The reaction to the last person is best described as completely frightened. That's right, I reached a complete breaking point over donuts and scared the hell out of someone. Anyway, after this incident, I was never asked to buy donuts again. Alright, this next story is titled, I'm redundant, but you need me? Enjoy the wait for my work. I've worked for my company for 7 years. I love it, it's a great place. Except for my boss. She's a liability and has been the cause of several almost employment tribunals. All been paid off to settle. But as she's been shagging the owner, she gets away with it. Anyway, we all know what's happening in the world, which is why I've been made redundant. I'm okay with this, it's expected. I was furloughed and since coming back part-time, I knew it was likely to happen. But I mentioned my boss is a dick. Well, she told me that she wouldn't be able to pay my notice out because she needs all the help while she has it. Well, that to me was a kick in the teeth. Why am I redundant, but you need me? I'm only working 2 days a week, but as it's my notice period, I'm paid for the full week. It's agreed I work Tuesday and Friday. Fine. I allow all my emails to build up from her with her requests for things. She doesn't know where things are. She needs this information immediately. Nope. I'm working from home and don't have a company issued mobile, so she can't force a call. Here's where my malicious compliance come in. I get the work done as soon as she sends it over, but I don't send it back until the last 10 minutes of my working day. She's then slammed by emails from me and has to go through them to find what she needs. And just to make it fun, sometimes I send her random crap that she may need once I'm no longer there, which is usually just junk mail vaguely relevant to our industry that I would have normally deleted. It's been 2 weeks, but her exasperation is rising and she has another 5 weeks before my notice is up. I'm doing my job so she can't say anything about it. I'm just being very conscious of doing a good job and only sending things when I'm sure they're ready. Alright, and the last story of the week that I'm going to read today is titled, Returns to the Delivery Door Only. I recently bought a computer part from a national computer retailer whose main warehouse/shop is only 10 minutes away from me. They are currently offering collection as the shop itself is closed. When I got the part home, it turned out that I got the wrong one. No problem, I thought. I called them to let them know, and they agreed to the return and sent me an RMA, Return Merchandise Authorization Number, in an email that I had to put on the package. I box it back up, label it properly, and drive over to where I'd picked it up earlier that day. Knock on the door, only to be told that they can't accept returns at this door, and it has to be delivered by a courier. Now, this was a fairly expensive and heavy bit of equipment, so a courier was going to cost a fair amount of money, including insurance. It would also involve me driving past the computer shop to where I could hand it off to a courier. Cue malicious compliance. The next day I dropped some labels from my new courier, Imaginary Deliveries, add some QR codes for the look of the thing, and a company slogan, taking your things to amazing places. I also included a couple other labels that help sell it otherwise, including a Comic Sans label that says, this way up, and a chaos arrow that points in all directions. I put on my best courier looking outfit, a cap, baggy jacket, and matching face mask. Drive over to the computer retailer, go around the back to the delivery bay, put the parcel under one arm, and just wander in. I find an office, knock on it, and say, I've got a delivery for a computer shop. This is Unit 7, right? I then make a show of scanning one of the QR codes and take a photo clearly showing that the parcel delivered in their office. I leave feeling like I just pulled off a major heist. A couple of days later, I get my refund, and the job was done. Link to see the labels I printed. Let's check out these labels. This way up. Imaginary couriers, taking your things to amazing places. Alright, and that wraps up today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed these r/malicious compliance stories, and I'll see you next week.